Want to acknowledge the founder of People's Party, Grand Chief Sir Peter Ipatas, long-serving governor of Enga province. Thank you for your organization and the executives of your party that has put this evening together. I wasn't thinking of a party on this milestone moment. It was this day 7 years ago where I was given the extraordinary privilege of my life by all of you to be the chief servant of our country. And thank you for picking this date for us to have a recollection on where we have come from the last 7 years in the context of where our country has come from. So I just want to appreciate the wisdom, the rationale behind People's Party picking this day for an important occasion where People's Party and Pangu and the coalition partners could be in an evening of sharing and in public discussion in as far as politics, government, and PNG is concerned. I want to register my appreciation to also the Honorable William Duma, leader of URP Party. I see a heavy presence of URP Party tonight with Minister Jason Peter, Minister Cooley, Governor Wairapa, and the executives to sincerely appreciate your presence. I want to also register my appreciation to Minister Seano Pala, Minister Thomas Opa, Minister Manasseh Makiba, Minister Mickey Kayok, and of course our colleague who was in cabinet but in parliament but now in a little bit of rest, the once honorable, always honorable, the Honorable Don Pollier, and Madam Merega Singit, and my Pangu leadership team who are also here this evening to give support to an important coalition partner. We do acknowledge every one of you. To all patrons of People's Party, all supporters of People's Party, and all guests who have taken this time out, as well as spent your money to be with us in this evening, you are certainly not wasting time. I want to reflect. You know, a few nights ago, we were all engaged in the contest between blues and maroons. You all engaged. I don't know about you, but I was pretty raged after the game was concluded as a diehard maroon supporter. And I put in the Pangu page, I also I think put in the government page that Maroons was playing the referee and 13 men. We were playing against the referee. And so 12 against 14. And I was the biggest complainer that night. And I went home and I was wondering, what the heck does Maroon do for my life that I'm wasting my time? So committed diehard Maroons. Since I was a blues boy coming to Port Moresby and realized there's a concept called blues and maroons, and I just got attached with maroons. And then Rachel, I met her sometimes down the line, and she just entranced our unity for maroon in our own home. Our children would pick up blues as support, and we go maroons. And I just realized I was so much engaged in maroons and wasting my time. And I ask all of you tonight, for those who support blues or maroons, what value does blue or maroon do to your life? Do they come and build the roads? Do they come and fix your economy? Do they create employment for you? Do they make sure your hospitals are okay? Yet you are so fascinated and so engulfed and so attached to a team. For no reason, you are diehard blues or diehard maroons for the rest of your life. And I want to say, for those of you who are diehard People's Party who are here, there is far more value in supporting People's Party than wasting time on blues and maroons. So just like you are diehard blues and maroons, if you are People's Party, be diehard People's Party. Believe in the mottos, believe in the policies, believe in the leaders who are leading the party, and stand with it. And as like-minded coalition partners, we will find a way to balance politics. Don't worry about what happens in between the elections and the other elections in between. That's for us, the 100 in this parliament, we have 118 to manage right through. But if you believe in a party, if you believe in a leader, and if you come out like this, the law allows for you to support stand firm, stand behind the party, good or bad times, support all the way through. Because there's more value in this support than the useless blues or maroons we've been supporting all our lives in this country. You know, our country has come through many, and I want to put into perspective the history of our country. I think Tanya, Sister Boss of programs, you gave me how many minutes? 10 minutes? 10 minutes. So Tanya gave me 10 minutes, so Tanya, keep the clock running, and if I hit 10 minutes, you stop me. 1975, we were economy under 5 billion kina. 1975, we had only around 1,000 Papua New Guineans in high schools. We only had under 100 Papua New Guineans with some college or university certificate, including degrees. That's our starting point at 1975. Economy under 5 billion kina. It was in fact $1 billion because our kina was part at US at the time. We say 1 billion US or 1 billion kina, but if you relate to today's kina value, it is 5 billion kina. That was 1975, 1,000 students in high schools. Sunnis, you and me, administrator, came after. I was 36, is not part of that high school. We were in high school in the 1980s. But those who were in high schools in the 1970s, only 1,000 of them were in high schools throughout our country. At 1975, the most diverse nation on the face of planet Earth were fused into one sovereignty called Papua New Guinea today. If politics could be measured by unity and diversity, then PNG ranks #1 in the entire planet Earth. A country of so many sovereignty in itself, so many cultural structure, cultural leadership group in languages and cultures we come from, fused into one nation, one people, one country by the Somare generation. I always say Somare generation is the greatest generation because that was the hardest thing to do. Unite a country of so much diversity in the midst of many contests. At 1975, we had the Papuan Besana movement. The Bougainvilleans had their flag raised in September 1, 1975. The Motaguan Association in East New Britain. For me up in Tari, in 1975, guess where I was? I had no trousers on in that time. In 1975, I was still in the bush of a place called Nomad River in Western Province. No trousers, as nothing, me run on the bush like a mosquito. 1975, we were fused into one by that generation. 1977, first general election. 1978, provincial governments came into place. When Hela was still struggling to be a province, Enga became province separated from Western Highlands around that time. 1980, first successful vote of no confidence prosecuted on the floor of Parliament. St. Julius becomes our second Prime Minister. 1982, Somare comes back in. 1985, Winty from Deputy Prime Minister becomes Prime Minister. 1987, 85, Okteri comes in, our second big project. Okteri comes in 1985. Winty successfully defends his government, but 1988, Winty gets out, Sarah Vinamali comes in. Bougainville crisis happened in 1988. Went to 1992, Winty comes back in. Bougainville crisis has peaked. As we were handling Bougainville crisis, volcano erupted in Rabaul in 1994. One of our best economic towns was sunk under the ash that's placed over Rabaul and the Gazelle Peninsula. 1991, in fact, the education reform came in. Of course, I was at UPNG. We supported our team playing in the SV Games here in 1991. Education reform came in, almost 20 years on, education reform came in 1991 that displaced the entire structure and architecture of the post-independent or post-colonial and independent era that's education structure some of us were educated in. The half-baked education system introduced in 1991. To complement this, the 1995 provincial government reforms came in that totally displaced the provincial government and really had a mishmash public policy structure, public governance structure from Waigani to the provinces, the reform came in that displaced the entire structure of government. And then we went to the 1997 election. Almost central crisis destroyed this country, but thankfully we survived. Sir Julius was Prime Minister, took us to 1997. Of course, Governor Ipatas, you came in after the elections. Bill Skate became Prime Minister, the late Bill Skate. A global financial crisis in 1997. We had, in terms of economic numbers, our GDP was still not yet past 10 billion kina. Remember 1975, 5 billion kina? 1997 was struggling to go past 10 billion kina. Inflation double digit. Our debt to GDP peaked at 70%. Those were the rolling 90s we came into. Tsunami in Aitape happened 1998. Seb Mekere came in 1999. And then we arrived in 2002 with a lot of our economy fundamental were so weak and fragile. And thankfully, Mekere, the late Mekere, did some fundamental reforms that bettered in political stability in 2002. When we arrived in 2002 as a country, the economy was still under 20 billion kina. And you may think I'm lying. Please Google up as you sit, or go and do your own research. These are all research based. I did my own research, and I studied through the country's history, and I'm putting to all of you. So remember 1975, we were 5 billion kina. 2002, for 27 years, we now have reached 17 billion kina. So the entire first 27 years of our life, provincial government reform, education reform, Bougainville crisis, natural disaster, global financial crisis, all hit us the first 27 years. Government, we changed 12 times. Average life of government, 2.5 years. The 6 prime ministers rotated in between them 10 times. That was the life of PNG the first 27 years. From 1975 to 2002, our economy grew by just 12 billion kina. And today I stand here, the land of Motu Coitus, and I want to pay respect again and amplify in this political occasion, Se Mekere Morata, to the students and population who wanted him out in 2002 and 2001 with the protests. You do not deserve to be in Se Mekere Morata's funeral to cry over his dead body, because under his reform, this country saw the next wave of change in the last 23 years. And so please, join me and let's thank Se Mekere Morata. He has his downsides. I will not make mention, just like I have my downsides. But the greatest strength he contributed was some fundamental reforms that he did. And one of them was the introduction of the integrity of political parties and candidates. Now, if you put your mind on 2002, the economy is 17 billion. When Somare left office in 2011, he passed on a 45 billion kina, or 46 billion kina. It depends on which number you're reading, or 50 billion kina to Mr. O'Neill. When Mr. O'Neill left government in 2019, May 30th, this day, he passed me a 79 billion kina. As I speak today, we concluded last year. The final budget outcomes Treasurer will hand down, will tell the country we have gone past 130 billion kina in as far as economy is concerned. Now, it's not rocket science. Any leader could have done it, depending on their policy mixes. But one key ingredient, if I divide from 1975 to 2002 and 2002 to 2025, the first 50 years of our nationhood, we have 2 periods, a period of political instability and a period of political stability. In the period of political instability, economy grew by just 12 billion kina. In a period of non-political instability, despite for me, I put my hand on 8 challenges I had to keep the government together. But I am still a youthful person. I'm in my peak of my life. I will still be keeping governments together. So I was able to manage politics and manage government. But nonetheless, the last 3 years, under Section 63 invitation platform, we had 3 prime ministers, each averaging about 7 to 8 years. By next year, this month, I would have served 8 years. Only let's serve 7 years and 8 months. Somara had served 9 years. So under 3 prime ministers, from a 17 billion kina economy, we have now taken it to 130 billion kina economy by the end of this year. Despite the wars happening elsewhere and outside, you can trust me on this one, our coalition government would have taken the economy of 140 billion kina by the end of this year. Remember, I said in 2019, we are chasing the 200 billion kina economy. In our policy interventions, our negotiations with the extractive industry, our focus on agriculture, our focus on PNGs participating in contracts in our country, all with the ambition to grow our economy. Now you ask me, why do I talk about economy in a political night? Economy is simply the garden you harvest from to make sure the rest of the day has enough money to budget to supply to the country. If the economy is big, the garden is big. Treasurer picks from a big garden to make sure they got big budget to supply. And I speak in 2025, we would have closed a 26 billion kina budget. When I was finance minister in the last government in 2018, we closed a 15 billion kina budget. You see the difference? Last 6 years, we put on top 10 billion kina in our budget simply by the way we were doing business. So I want to say tonight, in coming to a conclusion, supporting a political team that you believe in is very important. Law allows for it. You can contribute up to 1 million kina to support a party. You pick that party, you believe in this party, you support this party, because that party will contribute their policy to a coalition government as the government is formed going forward. And I want to commend People's Party, very strong on law and order, very strong on anti-corruption, very strong on education. Some of the policies that rhyme well with Mount Pangu Party's policy. And we align together in some of these spaces. And so in that context, we work as coalition partner together. And I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. This is a tax refundable contributions you're making tonight. You come in this sort of moments, you hear from your leadership team on what the party stands for, what the combined coalition stands for. And some of the work we've done the last 6 years, including the new POGRA. New POGRA is an asset that's PNG party owned now at 51%, and our investor partners own at 49%. Part of the Take Back PNG philosophy that is now working. Together we've structured, for instance, the Pinang gas agreement. We will collect totally 63%. Pinang gas agreement is a Pangu coalition gas agreement. Papua gas agreement was a PNC coalition gas agreement, just as PNG LNG is a NA coalition gas agreement. For Pinang, we have secured 63% total take for the state. Just like in Pogra, we've secured 53% total state for the state. All in a pursuit to get more, take back more, grow the economy, so we have enough to make sure health, education, road, citizens are all okay in all the service sectors we need to finance for our country going forward. You know, the Simbu say, Koble is king. And Simbu say, Koble. So I say, Koble is king. You can have all the good plans, but if you don't have money, I'm sorry, but your plan just sits on the cupboard as plans. And so we've been targeting to grow the economy, and we've been working very hard. I look forward to all of you. Support People's Party. Their policy metrics is good for the country. Governor Ipatas has been solid for his province and for the country. You know, others may come and go, but Governor Ipatas is the constant in People's Party. To all my communings in Enga, you will go wrong if you misplace your hope in Governor Ipatas. It's not time for politics yet, but I just have to say, let it out. You can look him on nubla kambat, you look him on warat sol, wara barana. Something true basana, leader true bastabiat. And so Governor Ipatas has proven distinctively since 1978 as a local level government leader. Up till 1997, he broke into national leadership. And since then, you've seen monumental work in Enga province. It doesn't come because you have a prime minister who knows you. Of course, all prime ministers will know you, but there must be a bridge. There must be a bridge to Enga province, and Ipatas has been a successful bridge to Enga province from the national government. And for this, I give commendations to him. And Governor, you can, for Prime Minister aspirants, if you tick off being a good governor, you have my vote as a Prime Minister candidate also. So for those who are governors, just look at your provinces. You've got Section 42 powers, the organic law and provincial and local level government power you have. Section 42 is a big power. Is your village court working? Is your councillors working well? Is your LLGs working well? Is your land mediation working well? Is your education system working well? Is your provincial health working well? You're like a mini prime minister of that province. So you have my vote if your province is ticking off majority. As human beings, we cannot tick off majority. So for Enga, I see my big brother only struggling with the prevalence of gun and the lawlessness that some of us create. He's struggling in that space. But rest, I see him. Enga province being the second last to Hela. Hela is the last of the last and the least of the least. Enga is the next one, earlier than us. But he has managed to keep a hard province together. Together with him, Innovative University of Enga. We've approved, funded, it's running straight with campuses. We're trying to integrate together. Together with him, my government have invested over 300 million kina in the provincial Enga hospital ticked off. Together with him, the new Pogora achievements. And of course, many remain outstanding, but I'll just pick on one or two main ones. That is an example of a leader already stationed at home working. I commend Governor Wise sitting here. I've seen him sitting at home working. The common amongst these two, they are back home all the time. They only come to Parliament for Parliament. They come to Port Moresby for Parliament or to follow around submitting the budget, etc. So for any governor aspirants who want to be Prime Minister, just have a checkpoint on how you're working back home in the length of time you have been governor of your province. If your province is signing, you're overqualified to be governor of the entire country. But come back to this occasion. Thank you for coming by to support People's Party. It's a party that is rooted in good values, have good leadership team around. Pangu Party looks forward to working with you to the elections. And we hope, as you contest elections, as you do fundraising, speak to your own following and network. If by God's grace you receive the Section 63 invitation, you will not struggle to find Pangu Party. We'll rally behind you and support you in the formation of new government. Forming government is not an exclusive mandate to James Marape or Pangu Party. Forming government is not an exclusive mandate to the former parties who formed government before, trying to come back again. Forming government belongs to anyone who is strategic, purposeful, intent, with a dire base who does not matter what, stand behind the leadership and support, because Section 63, invitation that Mekere also gifted to us, is an invitation that is open to anyone who's out there. And I offer People's Party a free consultation that I could be advisor in counseling how you run to the election, of course, without compromising my loyalty to Pangu Party. As we work hand in hand, I offer free advice to URP and other coalition partners. The field is wide open. Pangu have decided not to contest in the seats that our coalition partners hold. We have about 20 or 30 seats that we will be contesting that is held by opposition. And we'll be defending our own seats that we hold. Rest of our coalition partners, the market is wide open. Get yourself organized. And Pangu is big enough to embrace you as we go together to the polls and back. Thank you for listening. Have hope in your country. At 1975, right up to 2002, and even up till today, many thought the concept called PNG will fail. Concept called PNG has not failed yet. The Somali generation has gone on. They passed it on to us. It is alive, it is vibrant, and political parties are institutions that will shape the next 50. I look forward to like-minded parties, like-minded leaders, and like-minded Papua New Guineans and residents joining hands and creating a PNG that is a blessing to all of us. Thank you, Thomas. God bless.